always, I appreciate everyone coming out tonight, and we'll try to get through this as quick as possible tonight. So the first item, or second item on the agenda is the public comment section. Just remind everyone, this is public comments that relate to anything other than the agenda item number 4, which is the public hearing today. So during that time, you'll have time to speak about that conditional use permit. But as of right now, I'm going to open it up to the public comments and limit you guys to 5 minutes on anything other than agenda item for the public hearing. So anyone wishing to speak, please approach the podium, state your name and your address, and please speak into the microphone.
I live at 240 Railroad Street, Darrell Linkus. I think one of the town members had come up and asked, did anything bother us with, I guess, because they're getting ready to move or whatever, you know, didn't want, they was concerned about, I guess somebody was saying about the trash smell, but we never smell the trash or anything like that. Noise, I'm not there very much, my wife is, so she could probably speak on that, but as far as everything else, they're good neighbors. So.
And what street are you on again?
240 Railroad Street.
Railroad. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's,
Opposite side.
yeah, you could probably take, I think I measured it over the weekend, it's about 400 feet where they park their garbage trucks. Never have a problem or anything like that with the smell.
Gotcha.
So,
All right,
anything else I can do for you?
we'll let you know.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Susan Linkus, 240 Railroad Street. Yeah, I'm there during the day, and they never bother me, like making noise or anything. I never have any problems with that. I mean, I hear the trains more than I do the town. So, and like he said with the trash, and it's always nice. My husband does snow removal too, so when it snows, he's out. And it's always nice to kind of know the town's right kind of across the train tracks there from me, because I'm kind of in a remote area. There's no other houses around me, so it's kind of nice if something happens, you feel like there's at least someone close by that would see if your house caught on fire or if someone was breaking in or something. So I've always found them to be great neighbors. We've lived there 20 years and never had any problems or any issues with them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Randy Wingfield, town manager. Of course, the town's making the request, as I mentioned previously. It's in regards to basically a need that the town has with our growth and the growth of public works complex. I guess in regards to some of the questions, I know we were requested to have schematics of what it would look like from adjoining properties, adjoining views. I can't have that at this meeting, but I will have that available by the end of the month. So you could have it, say, if we were to meet December 2nd, maybe, we would have it at that date. And that we're fine if you want to delay recommendation until that time. Also, just in regards to the well, there's a drawing in front of you. It shows street widths. Also shows, I guess, 2 blue areas on the drawing. Those are the locations of wells in the area. Basically, we
I don't know that I You don't have that. Can you put it up on the screen?
Oh, it's not this? Oh, it's not. Thank you.
They have the other one.
Hold that thought.
These drawings were in the last council packet if we went in the planning commission.
Yeah.
Also, we have a proffer statement and a revised schematic. I do notice that tiny date down at the bottom of it says November 1st, but this is actually the digital date on it is November 8th, the date of the proffer. And this is the drawing that we're referring to. Basically, the biggest difference is we relocated the stormwater pond to the rear corner of the property. But the proffers that we made would be that the development would be in general conformance with the presented concept drawing dated November 8th, though the building locations and driving aisles may shift. And again, I'm referring to the digital date of the digital file. The contract purchaser agrees to the plant staggered double rows of evergreen trees at a minimum of 6 feet tall as indicated on the concept drawing. The contractor purchaser agrees to place a minimum 6 foot tall fence with gates to enclose the facility as indicated on the concept drawing. The project will reduce the existing peak rate of flow in the channel between Simmons Road Northeast and Teal Street Northeast for storms less than or equal to a 10-year storm event to a level less than a current flow rate. And the town will widen Simmons Road Northeast from Roanoke Street to the northern entrance indicated on the concept drawing to a minimum of 24 feet in width, currently varying between 18 and 24 feet in width, as you can see on the schematic of the street widths. In regards to sewer capacity, this will actually drain to a different pump station area, so we would not use the Walnut Creek pump station capacity at all with this development. And water capacity should be fine. And like I say, I'd be glad to try to address any questions if you have them, but we should have the schematics basically in mind.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. Anyone else wishing to speak tonight? George?
I'm Jim Lanchonese. I'm the Public Works Director for the town of Christiansburg. In the last meeting, you asked for some clarity, and I couldn't give it to you at that time, but I think you have a copy of this, and it explains our operating hours and how that is handled. There was some concerns, you know, with the number of employees and so forth going to the facility. So as I prepared this so you have a better understanding of how exactly we report and so forth. So we are 101 employees total, but only 89 will report to this facility. Out of those 89, 85% of them are going to report, get their tooling, get their vehicles and equipment, and then they'll go to the field. There will not be 89 people at this facility all day long. About 15% of the staff will be there, administrative staff, fleet staff, and so forth will be there. So I just wanted to add that clarity to you, and then as you can read down through it, how we respond to after hours and how that is basically broken down. When we do get that call, we come in, basically do the same procedure. We get our tooling, we respond to the emergency, we complete that task, and then we return back and then put our stuff away, and then we're gone for the night. As I mentioned in the last meeting, you know, we will respond to emergencies, whether it's on holidays or at night, any time of the day. We are on call 365, 24/7. But we do not impact that as far as noise and all that at a very low rate. And Mr. Linkus and Mrs. Linkus can speak to that, because like they said, they're our neighbors. They've been there for 20 years, and they see us come in and out and so forth. But I wanted to add this and give you some clarity so you can review that all the way down through our snow operations, how we handle those in our events, our minor event and our major events, and how we tackle those and what you can expect. Even in those in a major event, when we deploy everything, the most staff that'll be in that facility will be at shift change, like I mentioned last meeting. That's the most people that'll be there at one time, and that's at between 7 and 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. The rest is minimal employees will be there, and you'll have a little bit of truck traffic coming back in to replenish their chemicals and so forth. And we'll have mechanics on site there. So it's not going to be a consistent noise like a major industry during the day normally, or even through that process. I just wanted to add that in there so you have a clear understanding of what we are trying to accomplish and how we do operate. I broke down into the solid waste operations too, as far as the vehicles that will be stored there, how they're kept clean, our cart storage, how they're washed and put back up when we exchange carts. So we try to keep that odor or anything to a very small minimum, because it would bother us as much as it bothers our neighbors. So we do have a pretty rigorous process with all of that stuff. And I also, you'd asked me the vehicles, how many vehicles and equipment will be there. So I broke that down in classes. so you have an understanding. Even though those will all be stationed there and stored there, they're not all in play every day. So we use what we need when the snow events, the major snow events is when we'll utilize every piece of that you'll see. But on the daily operations, it might vary. There might be dump trucks parked there, and there might be some gone. You know, it's not every day that we use that. So I just wanted to take the time and give you this information so you can be aware of exactly how we do operate currently and how we would operate there as well. And I can answer any questions you would like to have that you may have for me. One thing I will add, and if it's okay with you, Randy, to speak to the property itself. I think it was not really miscommunicated. I think it was a little bit misunderstood when we started talking about other properties. We've sought out other properties, I have for 10 years, and try to negotiate, try to move forward with those properties, but it's never just worked out the way it needed to, whether it be funding or the land was slated for other development. There is other tracts in the town that are large, but they're already slated for development, such as Mr. Woody's down by the Blue Ridge Church. I pursued that land 3 years ago, and they didn't want to sell it then. So this tract here, the 14.56 acres there, is one of the last large pieces of land in the town that would accommodate our needs. So I just wanted to add that for clarity. We are not currently seeking any other pieces of property to relocate to, because it's simply, there's not that very many left, that, if any at all. And when this came available, we thought it was a great opportunity for us to purchase it.
Okay,
Do you mind
thank
asking
you.
a follow-up question?
Sure, go ahead.
Since you're there and you provide some other clarification, so we got the document and with the 2 wells on it, so thank you, because that was one of the questions from last time. One of the concerns was raised last time was about runoff, toxins going into the groundwater into these 2 wells that are here. Have y'all had a chance to look into that or get additional information about any studies and the impact? Thank you.
Setback required for any of our uses would be 100 feet maximum, and we well exceed that from both well locations.
Thank you.
I guess one other thing I'll mention, since I'm up here too, I know that the comprehensive plan and it not being aligned with the comprehensive plan, future land use map is being scheduled as residential. Just of course, as I pointed out before, the comp plan is under review, and that's of course we ask that you review it. But also I ask that you kind of take a big look at the zoning map as it is now. And I guess in this instance, it really is kind of a case of the residential is kind of the minority use in the area, because you've got Hubble on one side, you've got the Christiansburg Industrial Park on the other side of Teal Street, and you've got the Sheila Motor Mall and commercial uses along Renwick Street. So, like I say, I think if you look kind of at the big picture of the natural zoning of the surrounding areas, the predominant uses in the area really are industrial and commercial. Like I say, I know Teal Street and Haynes Street both are residential in character, but they are kind of, like I said, kind of minority land uses in the big picture of the area.
Yes, well, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, seeing no one, I'm gonna,
My name is Ralph Martin. I live at 3313 Torrey Pine Circle, Reiner. I represent the Doves along with Mr. Wingfield. The Doves are the seller of the property. I'm with Blue Ridge Land and Auction, and yes, might as well get it all off the table. If it's rezoned and it closes, yes, we will receive some monetary compensation for doing this for the Doves. So, having said that, you understand the hat that I'm wearing here, but I also want to represent the Doves. I'm going to be a little redundant from what Randy just said. I obtained these maps from the county today. And if I may I pass them out to you?
Sure.
I think it really shows red, of course, it has a legend to the right here. And the red is D3, the light gray area is industrial. And I had to put a yellow line around, I think it encompasses approximately 300 acres in that yellow line. The property that's on Teal Street and Hamus Street, out of the 300, would consist of about 28 acres. So, from a planning standpoint, who else was good? I'll give one to Randy. And we're always concerned about spot zoning. Yeah, it really looks like to me that Teal Street and Hamus Street was spot zoned a long time ago. Although their property's been there a long time. So, can you bring up the Montgomery County GIS? And Randy, do you have your one? Thank you. So, I went to Christiansburg School, so you really have to help me. Okay, thank you. I looked at the petition that was posted online, and it does not have 45 signatures, it has 42 signatures. And I also looked up the definition of the adjacent property owners, and when I say looked up, I mean in the dictionary, it said next to. There's 21 properties that is next to the Dove's property. Now, I appreciate the town being able to send out letters that cross over Teal Street, crosses over Hamus, and others that inform people what is going on, but they actually do not adjoin the Dove property. This property right here is sold, and they signed the petition. They're in the process of selling that, of course. From this point right here down is B3 zoning. They have an auction here in this building every 2 weeks, sell approximately 100 cars. These people here signed the petition. 8 houses joined B3. Then after they hold the auction on Thursday, after the auction on Thursday, trucks start coming in that night on into Friday night, Saturday nights, and load cars. They make quite a bit of noise, trucks coming in and out. They're a whole lot closer. I'm just telling you the scope of the neighborhood. What's there? It's 8 properties that join industrial zoning here. This is the receiving station for the motor mile. All their new cars come into this receiving station. I talked to the management there and then in that building today. Trucks come in 24/7, 365 and unload cars. They make a lot of noise. That backs up against these people here, unloading cars. They're usually 9 on a carrier. They come in and out all hours of the night. And they accept that. Of course, this is a utility company, better known as AEP. They unload poles, transformers, the large trucks come in and out. That other people here on Teal Street signed the petition. this subdivision here was developed, right at 71 or 72. They stated that it reduces property values by 30%. These people understood building. They didn't let that industrial property stop them from building a subdivision there post an industrial zoning. You can say, well, that's different. Well, it's different to a certain extent, but it's still industrial. This is not a asphalt recycling place. It's not a concrete restore place. And the gentleman that spoke to the town been a good neighbor throughout the years. I have a letter, if you allow me to submit, from a owner of property on Haines Street. He owns 5 rental properties there. The tax value is $586,000. There's none other single owners own any more valuable property than this one person. He has signed the letter that's saying that he does not oppose the rezoning, and he owns $586,000 worth. And I will give you that letter if you allow me to do that. He's on this side of Haines Street. And when I said, well, it says they have stated, they, meaning the people that presented the petition, that your property's gonna go down 30%. He said, they live in a different world. It's all different. It all goes to, all real estate is local. All things are different. He said, it doesn't bother. I'm glad that town can pursue this property. I'll give you that letter. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate as a real estate person, you don't know how much I enjoy working with Randy and the other people in town. So, and I appreciate y'all's commitment to that. I said, here's the letter from the Fletcher owners, and again, their property is valued at $586,000. If they were concerned about it being reduced by 30%, he wouldn't have signed that letter. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, anyone else? Seeing no one at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and close that, part of the, agenda, public comment section. And then, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 3, approval of planning commission minutes for November 4th. Commissioners, any changes you wanna make? Any comments? Okay, if not, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I can second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Commissioners, if you guys are not against this, I would like to switch agenda item 4 and 5 around. And since we've been talking about what relates to the action item number 5 tonight, staff, you okay with that too? Okay, I'd like to switch that around. Sorry, public hearing on the conditional use permit. It won't take us too long. We'll be back to you shortly. So, right now, I'd like to then open it up to agenda item number 5, which encompasses the rezoning request that we've been discussing in the comments section, public comments section, along with the conditional use permit. And this is the point in time when the commissioners have a discussion point, limit our discussion to each other, and ask questions of you guys. So if you could sit tight, we will be asking you questions, and we'll go through this as quickly as we can. So, commissioners, now's your time to go ahead and ask questions.
I have comments I'd like to
And
make.
absolutely, Tom.
First of all, it was brought up that they would be able to see, and it's been addressed somewhat today, that they'd be able to see into that unit. Well, they're gonna have a minimum of 6-foot tall pine trees staggered through that whole area. And pine trees will grow 2 to 4 feet every year, and that's the minimum growth. Depends which ones they buy, they'll grow even more. And that's besides the width of them. So after the first year, at the most, they're not gonna see in there. So I just, I don't know where they're getting that from, that if that was a housing project, houses or condos or whatever in that area, they would definitely see in there. But you're gonna have that pines, all those pine trees blocking your view. It's gonna give them more privacy than anything else. The other thing is, there's trees there, and people were saying they could, see all the activity going on too. Well, besides the trees that are there, there's a fence there, there's a 40-foot barrier there, so they'll have plenty of privacy. I just don't understand that whole thinking there. If there was houses, they still would not have a view. Most of the items mentioned that you don't want to see are on Simmons Road. And they're on Simmons Road side, plus they're expanding the size of that road. So that's gonna eliminate problems also. And it was said that, well, it's gonna cause more traffic for those people over there. That's kind of a ridiculous statement. Simmons Road is the avenue that they're gonna take going in and coming out. They're not gonna be going down the other road, because that's a straighter route, and it's gonna be widened. So it just doesn't make sense they would be going out the other way. It'd be harder to make those turns anyhow for some of those trucks. Trucks we use at Simmons Road, and then I had something else. I think it was part of what, yeah, it was part of what Randy's already mentioned, so I'll let that go. Randy's already brought it up. He's in, the question I have for you, Randy, is it was mentioned that the drainage is going to be reduced to a lower level of, so that's gonna enhance, or that's gonna take care of a lot of the problem on the street where they get flooded. And plus, the retention pond's gonna serve a basis too for that. And once again, I think they'd have a whole lot less lights problems in their yards. They'd have a whole lot less water in their yards. It's gonna be leveled off, and that's the other thing people need to understand. I don't mean completely level, but they're taking a lot of, Jim, is that correct? You're taking a lot of those hills out and going to. Yeah.
The one with the wells on it, is that the one you're talking about?
Can you put up the new map? The one that came out in the email?
Okay, yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, cause that's different than.
This one's.
Yeah, that's on, no, that's in the packet. The updated concept plan is in the packet, yeah.
So I guess my feeling is that a lot of the concerns that the residents had, and they were legitimate concerns, but a lot of them have been addressed and will be addressed. And I think that the end result, if they give it time, I think they're gonna find out that it's a better proposition than if you had housing in there.
Thank you, Tom.
Can you walk me through again, what is different about the two different maps that we're looking at? I was looking at the one in the packet and they seemed pretty similar to me. If you could remind me what had changed?
I think the biggest difference between the one we had presented at the last planning commission meeting and this one is that the stormwater pond has been relocated to the rear corner.
You have the updated one in the packet.
Oh, okay, so I was like, the one in the packet is the same. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the updated one. Thank you, that would be fun. Appreciate it. Well, since I have the microphone, let me go ahead and ask this question too. Personally, I am interested in considering waiting until December 2nd to make a date, Commissioner, to make a decision. I think I'd like to see the schematics. I'm also curious, now that we have the well location, and looking at this map, I'm just curious as to, like, I see fuel, right? Fuel is on the border of where the back of folks' homes. Generally speaking, potentially not too far from where that well is. I know that you said that there's at least 100-foot setback But I think I would be curious to learn a little bit more about that and the placement. And then also, I don't know, is there a different location for the fuel to go so that way it's not too close to the well? I think that is a legitimate concern that folks brought up. The one down below, I mean, you've got parking lots, admin buildings, I'm not as concerned about that well. But I appreciate their concern of runoff into the groundwater, into the well. So that'd be one thing that I'd be interested to learn more about. Also, I'd be interested in waiting for that December 2nd schematic. I don't know what commissioners think about delaying our decision, but I'm open to that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like to see the drawing. Yeah, I also made that note on the fuel as well, just on the right-hand side, close to the residential. I understand it's within farther than 100 feet, but that would be a concerning item for me. I'd just like to make some comments. I applaud you guys. You did a great job. You outlined it, exactly what you're doing there, number of trucks. Randy, you guys did a great job addressing all our questions that we had last time. You went through it, you corrected it, moved on. The pump that we were concerned about, that's not an issue. Looks like the drainage ditch also was addressed to a certain extent. And, no, you guys have really taken a good job and came back to us and explained a lot of our open questions. I still have a couple more. I drove out there today and glad to see that you guys are doing a widening of the street, because that is a skinny street. And the other concern I would have is coming out onto Roanoke Street. I confess it was right at 5 o'clock, but it took me a good 3 minutes to get out of there. So I'm not sure, operating hours, what Roanoke Street looks like as you're coming out there. And I think you said last time that there would not be a light that would be put there, but might be something that we want to look at, a little bit of the traffic studies at different hours. Of course, late at night with snow removal is not going to be an issue, but like I said, 5 o'clock, it took me quite a bit of time to get out of that off of Simmons Street onto Roanoke.
In line with that, real quick, the people that work at Hubble, which street do they come out on? With the people who work at Hubble, when they're leaving work?
They'll come out the.
They'll come out both in general? Okay.
Depends if they're going left or right when they come out, normally.
Yep, I have one other question. The property that was it bought or being purchased above this property in question? Has it been purchased already?
Yes, Bill Cranwell has purchased it.
Okay,
And
and
it's
it's,
going into conservation easement, I think, right?
That's what I've been told, although I've also been told like sell some. So
okay,
I don't want to try to speak to that problem.
sure. But right now, there's no plans for major apartment complex or anything like that?
I don't think anything like that.
Okay, very good. Commissioners?
I have another question for Jim, since it was brought up. Is it possible to move that fuel to the Simmons Road side by the sweet pack?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. As far as the fuel too, they're all double walled above ground tanks with a containment area also. But we can look at shifting that further away and see how it fits on that.
Yeah, 'cause you have a spot bigger than that right next to the sweet pack where the entrance is. I didn't know if that'd be possible or not.
We just see how it works out and see the congestion coming in and out.
Yeah.
I would just like to say, I'm too, I'm more interested in looking at the schematics. Thinking about it though, my initial thoughts from the last meeting as opposed to now, had time to think about it because I worked with utilities prior to moving here to Christiansburg. And one thing that's very important that these different companies think about is their neighbors. And they do take into consideration, what they're doing on their properties that they're operating out of. And I think that, I don't think that the town's gonna actually look to cause any type of, anger from from the community. So they're gonna do everything in their power to try to make everything as aesthetic and, operate as smoothly and efficiently as possible. So just wanted to say that, so.
Good point. Thanks, David. Other comments?
I appreciate the additional information, that's very helpful. But I look forward to the elevation. I think I need to see that.
Honestly, I could probably do either way. I can wait, or I can get the vote tonight. I think the layout that you've done is pretty well described. The fence is well described. The trees, I have Lelands at my house, and you bet they do grow very quickly. And it is a nice border around the property.
I could vote tonight too if you want, if we had enough.
It all depends on how firm you guys are about seeing the schematic.
If we voted tonight, I'd still like to see the schematics.
Of course.
I mean, I personally would like to see the schematics, just to see everything. But
One, two, three.
I'll say before I start, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112, Section B1, and 2.2-3115, Section H, I am declaring that I am a member of one of three or more businesses that may be affected by the agenda items as an owner of an electrical and electronic security contractor. I am able to participate in discussion and voting on this matter fairly objectively and in the public interest. Having said that, I don't mind deferring to the other commissioners and waiting, but I'm prepared to vote tonight also, so.
Martin?
I think I'd like to wait till the December second meeting to take the bonds.
Okay. Well, I think that's where we're gonna end up being,
That's fine.
and that's fine with me as well. Randy, that we'll look forward to, around December 2nd? And then, is that our next
That's our next meeting.
meeting? Okay.
And then council takes action on December 7th, is that correct?
December,
Action is on the tenth.
Oh,
It's on the 10th.
Yeah.
So that works out good. So.
It'll
we
be the
get
week
drawings
after.
On the 2nd, and then we can take action at that meeting.
And I would just, see if there's anywhere else we can put that fuel. That's just
Yeah.
something that's concerning to me.
Can I say something on that? We've got a creek that runs right beside there, and they never had any problems. I mean, it's right beside the county's water.
Yeah.
Scrap Creek, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they do have traffic issues trying to get out there because of the stoplight where the high school is.
Sure.
Now, that makes it worse than when they would have a run up road problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Seeing that we will defer our action till the next meeting on December 2nd, and look forward to seeing the drawings. So at that point, I'll go ahead and close agenda item 5 and backtrack to number 4. So, number 4, public hearing, conditional use permit request by Valley Classical School, Inc., property owner and applicant to allow a private building to consist of a school in the Central Business District B2 on property located at 100 West Main Street, identified as tax parcel 527-A-66, 527-A-68, and parcel ID 070462 and 015853, consisting of approximately 1.676 total acres. Property is designated as downtown mixed use on the comprehensive plan. All right, staff, you have some opening comments for us?
Yes, sir. So currently the property is owned by the Valley Classical School, and it's vacant, and it consists of 3 distinct yet connected buildings. There are 2 sanctuary structures separated via the courtyard and connected by a 2-story educational building. The original church sanctuary was constructed in 1908 with additions in 1963, 1972, and the application has additional materials. They did a nice little summary for you all, which was included in the packet. The school began in Blacksburg in 2017 and has grown from 25 students and currently serves 103 students. That currently is pre-K through 12th grade, and the maximum class size of 15 students. Their hopes are to grow to serve approximately 175 students in the New River Valley within the next 5 years. They currently have 2 full-time employees and 25 part-time faculty, consisting of 20 teachers and 7 aides and administrative assistants. While there are no current plans to expand the building, some modifications or remodeling will be necessary, along with addressing code requirements and critical safety concerns. Plans for the site include provision of visitors' access to the building through the larger sanctuary structure. Delivery and pickup of students will be conducted in the parking lot and backside of the building, entering from First Street Southwest and exiting onto Hickok Street Southwest. Conversion of a portion of the parking lot behind the building to a playground area, and installation of a fence and gate across the open courtyard between the 2 sanctuary structures to provide safe student access to the courtyard. The parking, to address that, a proposed condition from staff would be to provide a site plan for the review and approval prior to making exterior changes to the site, so we can ensure, since they are taking away some of the parking spots for playground area, that they still have the appropriate amount. And the site shall comply with the landscaping standards and parking standards from section 42-9, lighting and minimum off-street parking for the town of Christiansburg Code, and to obtain required building and zoning permits for renovations to the structures or the site. And there, I believe the courtyard is, was there an agreement for the courtyard? So there's an agreement with the courtyard, with access, so that may be something that the town and the property owner might need to work out.
Does the courtyard belong to the town?
Yeah,
No.
it's basically a public access easement. I can forward a copy of it.
So like a public park?
Yes,
That was the intent a couple of years ago, right?
correct,
Okay.
Cause that was just recently revealed, like a pocket park, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
correct. It does expire, and it expires fairly near future, like maybe within a year or so, I believe.
Okay. Because if they're gonna fence it over, they're gonna put a fence in front of it, then it's no longer used for public, right?
Correct, if it's closed off and not
Yeah.
back, simply a fence, if it's not gated, I'd say it still might be public. But, as long as it's open to the public, like I said, it's got public access, I think it's still.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, staff. So at this point in time, I'm gonna open it up to a public hearing and invite anyone wishing to speak on this to the podium. State your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Nathan McClung, I live at 535 Public Road in Christiansburg. So I'm here to speak in support of Valley Classical's petition for a CUP at 100 West Main Street. And speaking of support and looking at some of the past short-term and long-term plans for the town of Christiansburg, first plan I'd like to make mention of is the Christiansburg placemaking plan of 2020. So with this proposed use for the subject property, some of the tenants within the placemaking plan of 2020 that I believe the school would fulfill includes supporting social interaction, a sense of comfort and community, and also supporting the local economy, and also promoting connectivity and accessibility. Within the placemaking plan, there was a section specifically about the downtown area, and through that survey process and through the public outreach, one of the goals was to incentivize future retail, dining, or leisure establishments. Obviously, to have more establishments like that downtown that are beyond just the service sector, which makes up a large percentage of the current downtown market, you definitely need patrons and you need a consumer base. So with this new school and its conversion from a vacant building to a new facility, you'll have over 55 families who come to the property 3 times a week. And also, if a future congregation also uses the facility, you'll have a whole new consumer base coming to Christiansburg from both within the town but also outside the town, because the school and possibly the future church serves a large service area. So you'll have more capture for those people actually coming downtown who otherwise wouldn't. Also, within the placemaking plan, there's just a general goal of decreasing vacancy. So the building's currently vacant. The Valley Classical School intends to occupy it, renovate it, and use the building. And also, just I mentioned the service sector, but it intends to provide a greater variety of uses in downtown, because having a private school in downtown just adds an extra use that currently isn't one of the uses that makes it a large percentage of the downtown makeup. Looking at the comp plan, and additionally the UDA amendment of 2016, it meets the SEDS goal, the Community Economic Development goal, to support the renovation and adaptive reuse of historic buildings within the historic center. This building is actually within that shaded historic center, so it supports the adaptive reuse of that. The UDA plan of 2016, which is more transportation minded, the property and the structures that are already built out, and the school doesn't plan to expand the scope of the actual structures, but the schools and the way the property is laid out is already built out in a development pattern that meets the principles of T&D, or traditional neighborhood design, with reduced setbacks close to sidewalks and the parking in the back. And as you saw in the staff report, the existing surface parking in the back could also meet the goal within the UDA plan to provide for a potential reserve of parking supply for the downtown area and support future events, as the school will partner with the town as downtown events to having extra areas for people to park. So final remarks, I don't find that the use will have adverse impacts on any of the neighboring properties or the downtown as a whole in the public right-of-ways, and the proposed use will bring a new life to a vacant building in the core of the downtown area, and could act as a catalyst to provide activity for both town residents and non-residents who come to visit the school, and then be encouraged to shop, eat, and patronize the other businesses in the down in Christiansburg and the surrounding area, and what Christiansburg has to offer. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak tonight? Okay, seeing no one, I'm going to go ahead and close that part of the public hearing and open it up to commissioners for discussion on the conditional use permit. Any comments?
How many parking spaces would be required on the use? I saw that noted there about the staff report.
With parking spaces,
Yes, staff estimates approximately 115 existing parking spaces. However, some of the existing spaces will be converted to provide a playground for students. I can't imagine that they need much parking, because they're mostly drop off, and the students are gonna park there. I was curious about that.
It is
it
big.
would,
Yeah.
it would be based on the number of students. It has plenty of parking as of right now, to meet that. Yeah.
And then but if they were gonna rent to a church, that might require some more. And then
Yeah.
if they were to go ahead and convert part to a playground, would that trigger a building permit? Or just a planning and zoning review?
For the playground,
Yeah, for the playground.
do you know, do playgrounds require an inspection by building?
I think the equipment probably. I think I would
Yeah.
think so.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a drop off and pick up map, like directional plan yet?
We don't, we can ask for one.
Yeah, they didn't provide anything like that.
Would you like
Yes, please.
one of, okay?
Is there no one from the school here? Could you guys come up and maybe answer some of these questions?
Sure.
Can you wanna put the map up? Can we put the map up on the? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Justin Zure. I'm the head of school at Valley Classical School. Happy to answer any of your questions.
I'm Josh Cordes, the chair of the board of directors.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe to address the question about the playground, this is not a primary concern. The primary concern for us is making some renovations inside the building to have the number of classrooms that we need. We do foresee the potential for a playground in this grassy area right there. So we're not talking about a large playground. If we did that, that doesn't take any parking spaces.
How about like when you have children dropped off and picked up? What is the thought process so far of where that route's gonna be?
So currently we've had that line coming through on First Street and then coming through for drop off into this rear door here and then exiting on that.
So you got plenty of space if there's lines. As the school grows, you can get quite a few cars in there.
Does that go through another property?
No, so it's a little confusing on the map. We don't own this building, but we own across here. So the line doesn't go that way, it actually comes this way. So we
Okay.
have access through here.
So
Okay.
like maybe
Yeah, 'cause it
half
looked
of
like
that
the blue was-
section.
We don't have the parking spaces that are right here.
Okay,
Yeah, the line goes that way.
because that is your parking lot at the corner of Hickok and First, correct?
This, yes.
Okay, I was wondering where it was seven,
Yeah, so
Hickok
there's
was
two
parking.
parties.
That area in between the two buildings would be good for a playground too. I don't know if it's large enough.
Courtyard area
Yeah, I don't know if that's large enough.
here,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a possibility. That is on the front side of the building on Main Street, so I'm out of town.
No, all good comments tonight. I think I'd like to see the use of the building, that's for sure. And, to bring more life to downtown area, like you said, more patriots downtown. Take advantage of the restaurants that we do have. So, all good there. I don't see a traffic issue. Parking lot, I know is huge. I don't see an issue with the playground and park being still open to the public, whether you put up a fence or not, if there's a gate there. No major concerns with that.
I used to live on Second Street, coming down this way. And in the summertime, my older son would take his little sisters to the various playgrounds in the church, at the churches. So, you know, those playgrounds will be used, and they're a great asset to the community. And it would be nice to see something worthwhile there. So, no objections.
We need to have a concern if you're gonna have a church in there and the parking for the church. Greta, do we need to have a concern on that? If you guys are gonna have a church that's gonna be, I don't know how many numbers would offset that parking, but is that a concern to you? Do we need to figure out the outcome of how many spots you can have in a church or not?
She just brought me the information. So a church would be one spot per 5 seats. And an elementary school would be one spot for 10 seats in the main assembly or 2 per classroom. And in a high school, it's one spot per 5 seats in the assembly space or 1 per 5 students. So
So, do you need to go back and do some math to make sure that you have the parking for all of that? Are you confident or comfortable with those numbers? Have you heard those numbers before?
I've not heard those numbers.
Okay.
We're totally confident on the school side.
Okay.
On the church side, I mean, we can certainly look at that. So, and to be clear with that, we're looking at renting to a church to be able to use the space, because our school meets Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Right.
And so for us, it would be, we would not be good stewards of the property if we own it, we only use
were gonna rent out a church, is that something they could just do, or is that something that'd have to come before the town? So that would be a question that would come up later before they ever made some type of contractual agreement with the church to rent it.
That,
Mine, there was a church there.
I mean, what, absolutely. So,
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
I guess that's my point, it was a
It was
restaurant and,
always a church until the previous
Yeah.
owners.
and it was,
Yeah.
it was a school too at one point as well, yeah.
they should be able to do that, and for it to, comply with, I mean, it depends on what size church, what size congregation, you rent to, so I'm sure that you could meet the
You said
parking
was
for it.
One parking spot for five.
For 5 seats.
So I mean, if it's 115 parking spots, is that what it is right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'd take off 5. They have 110 spots. That's 550 people. I've been in that building. Like, that would. I don't know that you could fit 515 people in your most amazing. I mean, no, it would be. I don't know,
It's a good
100,
size, but it's not
200,
high.
like, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, so I think that even if they took out 5 spots, let's say they take off 10, I still think it seems like based on the numbers of the parking spots and the size of the building inside, you couldn't fit all the people.
I don't see
Yeah,
that as a-
so I think, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good use, I like the idea, I think it's a nice building, they did some nice updates when they renovated it last time, so hopefully it's a good space for y'all. I like seeing it used, I've been sad since the coffee shop went away. I do walk over there. I do use the pocket park with my kids. But I don't mind a fence when the churches down there has a fence and a gate to their playground that my kids use. It's public space. So if y'all, as long as that's an agreement and y'all are so comfortable, I think that little pocket park is nice. I like to see it utilized.
Sure.
I don't have any issues.
The drop off in the exit lane, that's between your building and the doctor's office, if I'm not mistaken, is it that spot in between?
Yes, that's what we're proposing.
And they have seen, you've given approval?
We haven't talked to them, I'm not sure who, I mean, that building's being renovated right now, so I'm actually not sure if the person that owns it is also who's gonna occupy it, or if it's being leased out. We can certainly find that out, but, it's you. Okay.
Connection.
Yes.
I don't know, any questions?
Yeah, I'll just say to Thomas's point earlier about it was already a church, I'm not a big fan of applying current codes to existing buildings unless there's gonna be a use change or major renovations to it, major exterior renovations, so. It didn't meet the requirements for a church before, I'm good for it being a church now, so.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions? Are we in a position to take some action tonight?
I feel
And-
comfortable making the decision
Just by the way, it's a permitted use by right.
to be a church.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Very good. Okay, commissioners, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion for a conditional use permit at this location.
I was waiting for him to finish it.
You make him do the work, I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations. Good job. Okay, at this point, we move on to agenda item 6, other business. Anybody with other business?
And I'll have questions for you later than studying your map of 81.
Okay. All right, I guess, my only comment is our next meeting is, Monday, December 2nd. Okay, we'll look forward to the drawings, and then, town council meetings are coming up. See, the public hearing is on the 10th, so that works out good, and action for them is January 14th. So if we have no further comment?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would like to introduce my new planner to Devin Shields.
Yay.
Congratulations.
We're very happy to have her. She's wonderful, so.
Congratulations.
Is council meeting in December? Usually they don't, I thought. Was council
Who
actually
counts?
meeting in December?
They have
I
the
thought
first
they
one.
didn't.
First one.
Yeah, the first one. They don't have the second one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, welcome. Not that you haven't been here
I I know.
I was gonna say,
A
you
lot of
might,
times, yeah.
you might think she has a familiar face. That is because she does.
Mike, you had.
Yeah, just want to make sure we're covering all bases here. Do we need to add the proposed conditions to the motion that we made on item 5? Just provide a site plan for review and approval prior to making exterior changes. Site shall comply with parking and landscaping standards per section